unity is really about love. And so much what the division is about hate. I'm white,
Yeah.
you're black.
Yeah.
And so we're supposed to have differences with each other just because of our skin color. Like, that's the lowest form of intelligence.
Yeah. The thing I don't like about a lot of people is to try to pin black and white against each other, to try to say one is better than the other when we all bleed red. I don't need a crutch from nobody. I wake up, I don't care who you are, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, I don't care how much money you got, I'm your equal because I love who I am. I love waking up, and your status symbol or what car you drive or what property you own doesn't make you better than me. I think the only time people realize that all of that stuff is obsolete or doesn't matter at all is when you have a health scare, because you'd be willing to give it all up just to be normal.
This is Sparta!
Welcome back to Spartan Leadership. I'm your host, Josh Kosnick. And I got my man, Emmanuel Whitfield, with me again today.
The greatest co-host in the world.
That's right. The mayor in the flesh. We're going to be doing a leadership and review today. So if this is your first time joining us, most of the time I'm doing leader-to-leader interviews, bringing you as much heat as possible to impact your life and what's going on, and I'm drawing out their expertise. In this show, in this episode, Emmanuel and I, and sometimes another guest, will talk about something contentious, usually politics, current affairs, stuff of that nature, to see if there's any true leadership happening, and we'll hash some of that out. We'll have a contentious conversation over a nice cigar and come out friends on the other side, as always, because that's the American way, the way it used to be. And we're trying to bring that back, show people how to have a contentious conversation about some serious topics or some passionate topics, and still be able to see each other's point of view. All right, so that being said, we're always smoking a fine cigar when we do these episodes. What you got today?
I went with a nice aged Elmer Forte. So
The Placencia.
yes. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to say that because my tongue can't roll. Let you say it.
All good. And I got a Casa Fuente. You know what? I think I smoked a Casa Fuente on one of the last episodes, so I guess a little bit of a trend. I'll have to think about that more seriously next time we do an episode and try and switch it up a bit.
That sounds like an expensive Italian coat.
That's expensive Italian coat. It's not an inexpensive cigar. Nothing that Fuente does is inexpensive, but
How do you like it?
they're very good.
Yes.
Yeah, for those that aren't cigar smokers, so I'm smoking a very dark wrap for those not. Maduro wrap is what they would be called. And most people that are new to cigars think that dark wraps
Yeah.
are more bold or
Being strong.
stronger.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case. Oftentimes they can be smoother.
It's all in the guts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the filler, right? So just as you know, if you're trying to learn cigars, just because it's a dark wrap does not mean it's the strongest, boldest cigar there. Lean into the experts, ask questions, figure out your likes,
Yeah.
all that different stuff, just like you do with bourbon or just like you do with anything else.
Whatever floats your boat.
That's right. All right, so last episode, we talked about the divisiveness in our country. We talked about identity politics. We talked about cancel culture. And we got a little bit into solution mode on coming together. But that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. Before we get into that, and we may talk a little bit about a supposed balloon that floated over our country.
Who knows what?
Something
That was alien stuff or what? I don't know what.
Chinese or otherwise.
It says the Russians too.
Yeah, all the above. We may get into that as well. But before we do, how you doing this week, man?
Man, I think I had a good week. The weather kind of broke a little bit, so I was able to get out the house. Had a couple good cigars, so every day the sun shines, I'm having a good day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day we wake up, we're having a good day.
There you go. There you go.
You got back into, well, you've been working out, but now you got a personal trainer that's kicking your ass.
Just been killing me, man. There's levels to this, man. I'm like going to bed at like 6, 7 o'clock at night now. So, yeah, it's tough with a personal trainer. So, all that work I was doing at Planet Fitness didn't really count. So, no offense to Planet Fitness, but
I'll bring offense to Planet Fitness.
yeah. What do you
Just not the place I would work out if I was serious about working out. That's all I'll say.
I mean, it's in the title. When someone's offering you free pizza and bagels and stuff while you're working out, they're not too serious.
Not too serious about you getting fit.
That's true.
And I like the lunks. So that lunk alarm offends me. That triggers me.
Yeah.
That offends me.
I never heard it go off, but just having it just says a lot, you know. And then they said you can't wear like tank tops because you'll offend someone else or whatever.
Because my muscles are too big?
Exactly.
That's no fun.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Sun's out, guns out. Come on.
Everyone gets a trophy at Planet Fitness.
All right, so now you're getting some real serious training. You get wore out, which is good. This is what I've been doing as well. I'm on 75 hard right now. 2 weeks in, feeling good.
What's 75 hard? Them know.
So 2 workouts a day for those that don't know. One has to be outdoor. They're 45 minutes apiece. They cannot be consecutive. So you can't go back to back.
So you can't walk one day and walk the next day.
No, you can do that. What I'm saying is you can't go 45 minutes outdoor, 45 minutes indoor back to back and do a hour and a half workout. The point is organizing your calendar to do 2 separate distinct workouts every single day.
I get you.
So one has to be outdoor, at least one. You could do both outdoor. You just can't do both indoor. You got to experience the elements.
Okay, so you can't walk the track and then lift weights indoors.
Exactly.
Something has to be outside with nature.
We got to drink a gallon of water a day. I got my gallon right next to me. I don't know if that's in camera view or not, but it will be when I take a drink. and then we got to read 10 pages nonfiction every single day.
Wow.
And we got to stay on a diet, no cheat meals, and no alcohol.
So you have to exercise your mind too.
Exercising your mind and your body. And I will say that anyone that chooses to take this program on, Andy Frisella created it. He gives it out for free. In fact, the only charge that you might see is if you download the app. I believe it's $5.
It's worth it.
Well, it's totally worth it because you get that shot of dopamine every time you click on, I did that. As you go along, and you have to, I forgot one thing, you have to take a progress picture every day.
Oh, that's cool.
So
you can see your results.
You see your results, and you don't necessarily see it day to day, but if you look back, say 30 days, and then the next 30 days are from the day 1 to day 75, if you're doing it right, you're going to see some major results.
That makes such a difference. I looked back at a picture of me like 8 months ago. It looked like I ate myself. Right? Holy cow, Buster Rhymes. It was crazy, but yeah, you do see results, and that motivates you.
It does. So I would say that anyone that chooses to take it on as well, it is a lifestyle. It's a change. It's I would say mentally, it's as good. I would like to say is better than even physically.
Yeah.
The mental stuff that you go through, the hurdles you overcome. Andy calls it, you have 2 voices in your head, the bitch voice and the boss voice. You learn how to exercise your boss voice more than listen to your bitch voice.
Yeah.
And for anyone else that wants to call those different things, just call them different things. So don't take offense to it.
If you wanted to give up on like a workout and that bitch side was saying, okay, it's good to quit, you listen to that boss side, like I can get 2 more sets out of this or 1 more rep.
Yes.
That boss side kind of push you.
Yeah. Well, and the boss side is what you're doing is, so John Gordon has a great quote that says, learn to talk to yourself, not listen to yourself. So that's how I equate it. That knowing those 2 different channels, there are 2 different great quotes by great people, is your boss voice is you talking to your bitch voice.
Probably giving you a better route to take.
Well, right. And it's like you can do anything. Like if I wanted to give up on a workout halfway in because I just didn't feel like it, that's just my internal bitch going,
telling you quit.
I just don't feel like it. Well, of course you're not. Yeah, go have a cigar. No, the boss voice says, do this, then you earn a cigar.
My bitch voice is strong.
Everyone's is. That's the thing. And that's over the 75 days. What you're really doing is conditioning your mind to stop it, to like, the bitch voice is never going to go away, by the way.
That bitch.
It's minimizing its impact on your day-to-day life.
Oh.
And that's, so the average person, you know that the old thing, like, takes 21 days to build a habit?
Right.
It's not 21 days. It's on average, science has shown it's about 66 days.
Oh.
Could be even longer for some people, depending on how hard-headed you are.
Yeah.
But the point is that that's where the number, actually, I think he started at 100 days, but landed on 75 days for the challenge. But now you're actually building some concrete habits
Yeah.
that you can like live with and maintain all year round. And that's the other piece of it, why it works is they don't say, oh, you got to do keto, or you got to do intermittent fasting, or you got to do Atkins, or whatever other fad diets. I was like, no, you pick a nutrition program and a diet that works for you, and the rule around it is just no cheat meals.
So tell me this, John. If I stuck to like a good diet and a good regimen, would that become habit? Like if I ate really clean for like 60 days, that's a habit I would want. I want a habit like that. That's a boss habit.
Yes.
Now, if I cheat and go to get a Big Mac and stuff, that's a bitch habit, right?
Right. Well, it is, but it's also like, so that's where I focus on. If we talk to nutritionists or people that really are into muscle and fitness, is they're really counting the macros. Really, from your calories, and your macros are then your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats.
Only macros I want to count is green dollars. I'm gonna call my Benjamin macros now. Well, we'll count the macros.
There you go. That's a new slang you could roll with. The macros and the green dollars.
So you said the macros are what?
Fats, proteins, carbohydrates.
Okay.
So when you're looking at a nutrition label, you just look at how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbohydrates, and how many grams of fat. Now, obviously, there's nuance to it, right? That not all fats are the same.
Sure.
Not all carbohydrates, exactly. Not monosaturated, all that. And not all carbohydrates are the same either.
Are there good macros I should be getting in?
Yeah, well, I think it's all based on what you want.
Oatmeal is a carb.
Oatmeal is a carb, and it can be good. Well, it depends on what you put in it. But yes.
A little bit of guave, and that's it.
Well, yeah.
And I got protein powder now because my muscles been sore. So a protein shake, that's pretty good.
Protein, depending on the source or who did it. But there's good ones I should say there's better ones than there are.
Yeah, I tried to keep one that was low on the sugar. I don't do too much sugar, kind of pre-diabetic. So I really stayed away from sugar and alcohol, which really made a difference in my weight going down. So I'm trying to eat healthy and be healthy. So I'm going to have to learn about these macros.
Learn about the macros.
All about the
both the dollars and the real thing. All right. So let's talk a little bit about unity. So we talked about last time how divided we are as a country and how that's a tool for the political elite. Cancel culture, also a tool for the political elite. But we're the ones, us, the people, are the ones doing it to each other. So let's talk a little bit about uniting.
I think starts with being honest with yourself and just getting off of that plantation of belonging to one side. I really think people need to look within to start looking at when you can see someone who disagree with you and you hate them for disagreeing, or you see someone who may wear a Trump hat. And this is all a taught behavior because Trump bothered no one before the media and his political opponents made you hate him. And if you ask people, why do you hate him now? Because you've been programming brand. I remember when I grew up in the hood, everybody loved Donald Trump.
Well, and especially when he was donating money to the Democrat Party.
Yeah, and not only that, every rapper wanted to put Donald Trump in their rap. And then after it seemed like the right and the media got a hold of brainwashing you to hate him, now you got Snoop Dogg and all the rappers F Donald Trump, while he's getting your best friends out of jail. And Joe Biden was the one putting your best friends in jail. And you want to tell people from Jay-Z on down, you want to tell people to go vote for the guy that really destroyed the black community, and the one that helped out the black community, it's F him. And that's all a taught behavior.
Well, I would say go even further. Those are Hollywood people, Snoop and Jay-Z. Excuse me. The Hollywood people are bought and paid for.
Oh yeah.
Like they're like, you can't trust them, and anyone that listens to a celebrity, I'm sorry, I got bad news for you.
Yeah.
They don't have your best interest at heart.
That's very true.
They're working for the elite. So listening to a celebrity is the last thing you should do.
I mean, life experiences, though, can really change. I remember growing up, I had a teacher, Ellen Roach, God rest her soul, the best teacher in the world. I was at Senate Middle School, and this lady was so special. She's an Irish white woman. I'm hanging out with my little group of guys, so at that school, they would categorize you and just judge you by what you look like instead of getting to know you, who you were as a person. So at Senate, this is just a very true story. I started out, they had me in learning disability class because a lot of the teachers weren't used to inner city black kids at Senate Middle School. And me and my buddies, they just categorize or stick us in a learning disability class. And, you know, that's the class with all the regular students that walk by. You're still in class and they're waving in the door, you know, one of those classes. And Ms. Roach, she saw me in there and she pulled me out of the class. She was like, you're special, right? So I ended up going to the House 5, which is a normal class. But she was working me so hard, I was pulling the race card. I would come home every day and say, Mom, Miss Roach is racist. My mom would say, what makes her racist? She kept me after school today, you know, not knowing she was pushing me, almost like a trainer, you know. So long story short, end of the year, I was going over to La Follette for math. I was going over to, you know, I was at middle school, but I didn't even know I was advancing that much. I was taking geometry. I was taking algebra, FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, all of that stuff. I knew all my angles, acute, obtuse, right, try. She taught me all of this stuff. Me not even registering, like, I'm pretty smart. You know, I used to win all.
I don't even remember those.
Shit. All my sports awards, right? And at the end of the year, I won the GPA award. The whole entire school thought it was a farce. It can't be him because they judged me too. But she knew I was special. She knew how beautiful I was as a person, and she knew my potential, and she brought it all out of me. So after school, I just stayed in touch with her. She became like a second mom to me. You know, she's a little Irish woman, never got married, so I was like her little black son. And she had a little black dog named Shamrock. And I went to her retirement party at Black Hall Country Club. And I always had a phobia of like talking in front of people or reading Mice and Men. They said, you have to get up and read in front of, I couldn't do it. I had this stigma, I had this phobia of just, I didn't have it in me to just talk in front of people. I was really reserved back then. It's not the case now, as you can see. But God works in mysterious ways. I was the only student invited to her retirement party at Black Hall Country Club. And because I love this woman so much. So I went, and at the end, I never spoke in front of a crowd. Some said, just get up and say a few words. I was so nervous. And I got up there, and I just started talking, right? And she was like, she knew I didn't like to talk. She was like, Emmanuel, that's enough, that's enough. And it was like all of her colleagues, and there was a couple college professors. I'll never forget this woman named Nancy Carabruce. I'll get back to her in a minute. So I was up there talking. I kind of broke down crying, you know, because it was emotional to me. And I didn't know why I was crying. So she was like, it's okay, Emmanuel. And I said, no, I got it, Miss Rose. I know why I'm crying. And she was like, everybody was like quiet. And I realized, I said, I think I'm up here crying, Miss Rose, because the greatest teacher in the world is retiring, and I have a little girl now, and she won't be taught by you. And that's probably what's making me cry. And all the teachers, oh, that was so nice. So after that, I get a phone call. There's a college professor, Nancy Carabruce. She said, Emmanuel, I heard your speech at the retirement party. It was so touching and beautiful. I want to invite you to a teachers convention at the Holiday Inn West. And I'm thinking it's just a little group of teachers, right? So here I am, the first time I ever spoken in public. I said, okay, I'll do it for Miss Roach, right? So up to the 24th hour, you know, time is going on, and it's all the way up to the day I have to go do this, right, at the Holiday Inn West. I didn't write anything down. I'm hyperventilating because I'm getting nervous, like, oh, I got to go talk in front of these teachers. I get there, Josh, thousands of teachers there. I look out, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I'm like ready to hit the back door. I'm ready to throw up. And it's like you said, that good guy, that bad guy. The bad guy was like, just leave out the back door. The good guy was like, you can't do Miss Roach like that. You've come too far. So I'm listening to the other speakers. They had all valedictorians, 4.0 Harvard, Yale graduates. And I'm looking out from backstage, and they're up there like, school is great. If you believe it, you can achieve it, like robots. They were real robotic, right? And this lady, she had so much faith and confidence in me. She saved me for last. I couldn't make this up. Nancy Carabruce, if you ever see this podcast, thank you. She was like, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is like the end of the road. And they say you save the best for last, putting all this pressure on me. She said, I had the pleasure of hearing this young man speak at a retirement party. Ladies and gentlemen, Emmanuel Whitfield. And it's crickets, right? It's crickets. And I was just a guy who barely got out of high school, right? And everybody else was just like honor students and all of this other stuff. When I tell you, I came from behind those curtains and I looked at all of that crowd, and the first people I saw was her colleagues, Miss Reuter, Miss Bell, and all the teachers from Senate sitting front row. Now, they knew me as a student. I wasn't the greatest kid at school, so they're over there, fingers crossed, like, oh, please don't embarrass us. Please don't embarrass us. I kid you not, Josh. I said, oh, well, here's nothing. I took a deep breath. I said, and that's the first time I really found out God will give you hidden talents. You just got to tap into it. I'd never spoken to a bigger crowd like that. Only time I ever spoke was at my teacher's retirement party. So I look out there. I'm so nervous. And something just came over me. I said, I can't turn back now. I took a deep breath. I said, and I just told the truth. I said, I have to be honest tonight. This is exactly what I said. I know this is a convention about teachers who make a difference in your life. I said, but I have to be honest. There's only one teacher that made a major difference in my life, and that's Ellen Roach. Ellen Roach, I love you. I get emotional when I tell this. I said, Ellen Roach, I love you. And then I just went from there. I took a deep breath. I said, what I said, I didn't write a speech tonight. I said, I once heard the best speeches come from the heart, unless you're the president of the United States. And they kind of giggle right then and there. And when I tell you it was smooth sailing after that, Josh, I just was giving them so many answers to dealing with kids like me. You know, I went into, some kids deserve to be held back. But then there's that diamond in the rough. If you just take time to get to know me, you may have the best student in class, you know? And I just started telling them all the answers and how me and Ms. Roach connected so good. And, you know, I summed it up with a true story. Ms. Roach used to always tell me, Emmanuel, it's better late than never. It's better late than never. And I kid you not, I was at Spaceport game room, you know, skipping school. And I could just hear her in my ear all day long. I'm playing Miss Pac-Man, and it was about 2:30. I just got on my bike and I went to school. I don't know what made it, just her nagging. I could hear her nagging. And I felt so bad, like I was letting her down. I got to school at like 3:30, and she was like, Emmanuel, what are you doing here? School is over with. I said, Miss Roach, you said it's better late than never. So she loaded me up with her work. And yeah, so I stayed by her side until the day she had passed. And that's one of the greatest inspirations in my life.
But what she did was instill a belief in you. So sometimes you need someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself.
She did that for me, Jim.
And she did that for you. And that, so on this topic of unity too, unity is really about love.
Mm-hmm.
And so much what the division is about hate.
Yeah.
And so, you know, whether like, and this is where it's a political tool, is like, I'm white,
Yeah.
and you're black.
Yeah.
And so we're supposed to have differences with each other just because of our skin color. Like, that's the lowest form of intelligence.
Yeah.
But yeah, and or the media trying to make us believe that we now live in the most racist time ever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, as a black man, do you feel that this is the most racist time we've ever lived in?
No, I feel my freedom is at an all-time high. And the thing I don't like about a lot of people is to try to pin black and white against each other, to try to say one is better than the other when we all bleed red. I don't need a crutch from nobody. I wake up, I don't care who you are, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, anyone. I don't care how much money you got, I'm your equal, because I love who I am. I love waking up, and your status symbol or what car you drive or what property you own doesn't make you better than me, you know? And I think the only time people realize that all of that stuff is obsolete or doesn't matter at all is when you have a health scare, because you'll be willing to give it all up just to be normal. If you had $50 billion and that one kidney could save your life and you had to give all of that up, you'll take the kidney over all that money.
Well, let me ask you this.
So much.
Do you experience racism on a daily basis?
Mm-mm.
No. Yes.
I can't feel racism because I'm great. I was born great. You know, I'm not lesser than, if somebody chose to feel like they wanted to be racist toward me, I feel sorry for them because I'm a joy to be around. I'll tell you another true story.
Well, I can attest.
I was locked up in Lafayette County, and the DA here hated me so bad that I had to do 6 months. I went to the Huber Center, and she came to the Huber Center and said, no, take him out of here. Out of all the prisoners in the world, take him out of here. She made it bad for me. So she sent me to Lafayette County, all skinheads. Everybody I was the only black guy in that whole prison. All skinheads, all guards were white. I was the only black guy in there. After I left out of there in 6 months, all of those skinhead dudes with Brian Bessler and all these guys come down to Monroe and ride bikes with us, E-Man. You know, they fell in love with me. Fell in love because they had to respect me. All the guards there said, dude, you're different. Don't come back here. You were like the best prisoner we ever had. And all of them skinheads.
What did you do different? So I've had a couple of people on the podcast that were in prison.
Yeah.
One was white, one was Arab. May have another, but anyhow, they talked about the prisons and how, like, they are racially divided.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the one part of our society to this day that is very racially divided, unlike what the media tries to make out everyday life to be.
But see,
So what did you do differently?
some of the songs, like, if it's racially divided, this guy may run the blacks, this guy may run the white, but the heads, they respect each other. It'll be an all-out war. And with respect, you get great results. When you respect me and I respect you, sometimes you become friends, you know? Them dudes didn't expect to become my friend. I'm a class act, you know? I had these dudes playing Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune. We get their little TV and, you know, have them couldn't pronounce the words. We guessing that stuff and have them couldn't spell and stuff in Wheel of Fortune, but we had fun. You know, we made the most of that little area we had together. And I just didn't step on no one's toes. And I said, I respect you, you respect me. And they ended up liking me. Everyone in that jail was like, this dude is cool, you know?
And I got to imagine where you grew up was very different than where they grew up.
Yeah.
Their worldview was very different than what your worldview was.
Half of them never even been around something like me. But to not like me is to hate yourself.
Right.
I don't care who you are. Anywhere I go, anywhere I touch ground, you're going to like me. Because I'm a rare dude, man. I think
We're all rare.
yeah. But,
Right, that's the thing, is we're a 1 in 400 trillion chance.
mm-hmm.
And that's where I think, like, some of the division that's caused, or some of the even just stuff that's perpetrated out there, is that you need a crutch. Like, you've talked about this often on here, is like, you need a crutch because of your skin color.
But where you
But how racist is that?
yeah.
But you're now, whoever's saying that to you is saying that you're not equal to me because I don't need the crutch.
Yeah. I tell you what, another thing is a lot of people think they have it better when you haven't experienced a certain thing in life. So when I say that, I'll put it back into working out. The guys that were fed with the silver spoon and never had to work for anything and feel like, oh, I'm elite, my parents had this. I had it rough, right? So it's like me going to Planet Fitness with a silver spoon where I don't really have to work that hard. So now I had to come to a gym where I have to really work hard for it, you know, where I have it rough. And that it brings out more in me than to have it easy on easy street. So me growing up kind of hard prepared me to, when I find myself facing adversity, I'm prepared for it, you know? So if I had a mansion and a Bentley right now, it wouldn't matter to me if I lost it all because I never had it anyway. But if that's all I knew and then I had to downgrade to a 1-bedroom apartment, a lot of those guys will shoot themselves because they can't live like that. So it's not always the gift. It can be the curse sometimes. I look at my daughters, you know, one of them, since it's Columbia, you know, I made her work in high school. The one I spoiled the most, she's a dependent now. It's daddy's fault. I don't want to go work because daddy did it for me. So I did the wrong thing by spoiling her. I gave her welfare, you know, and that's all she could barely cross the street without me because I held her hand too much.
It's a powerful thing to think about, especially for all the parents out there.
Yeah.
I actually recorded a podcast earlier today, I told you, and we were talking about that, how snowplow parents are really handicapping their children.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as plowing all those problems out of the way, you're really handicapping your children for the real world.
That goes for anybody.
That's across all lines.
Yeah.
There are no lines to that. And for most of this, but, you know, it's interesting as you were talking about the adversity piece. You know, I've done nearly 100 podcast episodes. Almost all of them In fact, there's maybe less than 5 that I can think of. We pretty much do an origin story, right? Like, how did you get? Like, there was always trials and tribulations. One that I released a week ago, or actually maybe a week or 2 ago. Either way, he was an addict. Now he's highly successful. The one we released this week, he was in prison.
Yeah.
Now he's highly successful.
Yeah.
Like all these people have gone through trials and tribulations and are now doing extremely well in life.
Yeah.
I'm not interviewing people that started with the silver spoon.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of one that I've interviewed that started with a silver spoon and then is crushing it in life.
Tell me, how many college buddies, look at all the stories of all the college kids that ended up pretty much on Skid Row or drugged out because daddy's dime paid for everything. Never had to work for anything, So going through adversity will really put some fuel to the flame, some fuel in your fire, in your belly to become better. And seeing, like for me, my father was a heroin addict, but I look at him like he was the greatest man alive because he taught me class. He taught me how to respect other people. I had to say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, when I grew up. And I come from a 2-family household. My father used to say, don't be running around here having a bunch of babies with a bunch of women, have babies with one woman. Those are good qualities to install. We had to go open the door for the old lady if we saw her. And I knew if I talked crazy to a teacher, my dad would be at school like, I'm going to get you afterwards. So I needed that. But, coming into the house, it was tough, man. Growing up, you come into the house and you look in the bathroom, you might see your dad on the toilet slumped with a heroin needle in his arm. And that's just crushing for a little kid. And at the time, I'd be embarrassed. They'd be like, hey, there's his dad or whatever. Then as I got older, I idolized him to see how great he was. And I look at it like my father knew I wasn't tough as him to be a drug addict and let my kids down. He had that strength to say, I'll take this bullet for you and your siblings to see my mistakes. So all his other siblings went to college. There's 9 kids in my family. All of them went to college. You know why? Because we saw our father struggle. And I think he took that for us because that could have been me. I could have came from a silver spoon, not knowing what it was to see someone struggle and fight drug addiction. I could have got into drugs, and that could be me being a heroin addict right now. So I think by seeing him, I always said, I will never be that. I will always be great to my kids to a fault. I was too good to my kids. My kids got everything they wanted. And that's another thing. You can't give a kid everything they want. They don't know how to work for anything. I gave one of my kids 2 crutches, and she can't walk without me. She's finally learning that now. By the way, I love you, baby. She's working at Wendy's right now, So she's figuring it out.
Figure it out.
Cut her off. And that's what you got to figure it out in the world.
Yeah, you're going to figure it out one way or another.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I talk about with Snowplow parents, or like the people that talk about this generation, like that's coming up behind us being soft. Like, it's who's raised them. It's their fault.
Yeah.
Right. So now we got to fix the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of us.
It starts with the parents, though.
Yeah.
Entitlement through parents. I just really I could never, ever picture me as a parent condoning bullying. Any parent that knows their kid is out there bullying someone on a bus, that's crazy to me. Or even talking back to a teacher or bullying at all. Some kids do have some mental stuff going on, but these kids that can come home and brag about what they did to someone, I would be on the bus bullying my child if they did that. And another thing, we got to get away from rooting for a different outcome. When I say rooting for a different outcome, you'll see a little kid. I just saw a little white girl get beat up on the bus the other day. I forget where it was.
It was a video, so it wasn't local.
No, if you flip the color of these kids and let that have been a little black girl getting beat by some 2 big white boys, I don't want to live in a world where that affects you then. I just look at the shooting in Memphis. If those cops would have been white, I don't want
the whole country would be burning.
I don't want to live. Wrong is wrong. I don't care what color you are. You see, and we've gotten to a point where now you're waiting on, what does this guy look like? It's not about the guy that shot people down at Michigan State. With the mainstream media, it's like, oh, let's pray that he's a Trump supporter. That's murder. What about those parents who lost their child? They don't care.
I don't care what color, who they supported. No, their child is dead.
The color was wrong, and the mainstream media is like, oh my God, He's not the right color. We was wishing it was no, we can't live in a world like that.
Well, you think about it, all of them, all of the previous shooters in like the past 4 years,
Yeah.
or mass traumas, even the guy that mowed people down with his cars over in Brookfield, which was a mass killing.
He was the right color for the wrong stuff. If you reverse that, all they wanted to be is a Trump supporter.
Not just that, but they've been left supporters. So that the media first comes out and says, oh, this person must have been a right-wing extremist.
Yeah.
And then they have to backtrack when all the social media comes out that this person was not, or that they were black instead of white.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it disappears from the news cycle.
Right. And don't think we're like sitting here giving people from the right an excuse. Wrong is wrong. If you're a Trump supporter and you do that, you need to take your butt to jail. Or if but I noticed lately, the guy that hit Nancy Pelosi, so he a QAnon guy. When he was like Greenpeace and he's for BLM and all of that stuff. Wrong is wrong. I don't care who you support, what color you are. Wrong is wrong. And I find myself seeing too many people nowadays rooting for it to be the other side to make them look good.
Well, so I think part of that, so again, it's on us, the people, and that's where you can't, it's just baffling to me that people still trust CNN, Fox, MSNBC, any mainstream media.
I watch Tucker Carlson though.
Yeah, well, Tucker's the only one that actually remotely tells the truth and will challenge both sides.
Yeah.
But other than that, everyone else is bought and paid for establishment. And it's just baffling to me that we still listen to those people or what's in the news cycle, and then it's mob mentality.
Yeah.
It's like we're waiting. Oh well, this group of people. Oh, this seems like the majority is on this bandwagon, so I better get on it too. I better change my profile picture to support the next thing.
But it's still tough because you go to YouTube and you think these guys are like freelance and like these YouTubers, they still lean to one side. It's just so.
Well, we all lean to one side.
No, but the truth. But me and you, if it's the truth, it's no side. If you lean to one side, but you can't. If that balance scale, if the truth weighs it to a balanced beam, and you still go with, I'm gonna lean to my side, that's wrong. Wrong is wrong, is right is right. I don't care how much I might lean over here, but if a Democrat do something good, I don't care who you are. If it makes sense, it's just some stuff that either side may do is just ludicrous, and you still go with it. You're being biased. You're not being true to yourself.
I see what you're saying. So that's the identity politics, right?
Yeah.
That we talked about, because if you're sitting there saying that I'm only going to root for what the blue side says, or I'm only going to root for the right side. Like, for instance, the State of the Union that we just witnessed, which, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Biden talks very smug. Very smug. Like we're, you guys ever notice this? Like, these politicians think they're above us.
Yeah.
The way they talk to us, the way the, not the chief of staff, but the reporter or the person that addresses the media.
Yeah, that Jacqueline, whatever her name.
Yeah, but what's the position called?
That is the, we're both running a blank.
Yeah, I'm running blank. Anyhow, they talk super smug to the reporters.
Yeah.
And Biden talks super smug to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they think they're above us.
Yeah.
And so anyhow, back to the State of the Union piece, but like, Kamala basically should have just stood up the whole time. Like, as often as she was standing up for every sentence that Biden was able to formulate.
Yeah.
Like, she just, like, you can't sit there and tell me that you as a person, regardless of your position, supports 100% of everything this person says.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what you're doing then, if we can agree that that's true, that there's no possible way that you can agree with 100% of the words that come out of anyone's mouth,
mm-hmm.
then all you're doing by standing up for everything that they say is trying to encourage others to agree with everything they say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's becoming a cult. And I really try to be fair and balanced, because good is good at the end of the day with me. And I tell a lot of people have been brainwashed to hate Trump and not his policies. And a lot of people are willing to die on their sword instead of have a better life through Trump, just to say, I can't vote for him because I hate him. But you're reaping the fruits from your crops now, because if you really, I have nothing to say to you, if you really like the economy right now, if you really like eggs being that high, if you like gas being this high, if you like this crazy war with you, where we're at, Ukraine, on the verge of nuclear war, if you're feeling good about yourself right now, hey, continue to vote for him. You know, I don't like it. I liked it better under Trump, you know? So I believe in what I like. See, I'm not liking someone because of my hatred toward Biden. You know, a lot of people like Biden because of their hatred toward Trump. It's not his policies. It's just because I hate Trump, so I like Biden. You know, no matter what, you know, you got people saying this, and whoever this guy that Santis or whatever, why is he in Congress? And then you're looking at the lies of Biden. Biden lied about everything. He lied about so much.
He lied about his college degree, his law school ranking.
With Mandela and this and that.
And he was caught by, I mean, Dan Rather reported on that back in the 80s. And I mean, bold-faced lie.
They could sweep that right under the rug.
Oh, by the way, I also love how they say he has a speech impediment, and people are making fun of him when he seemingly spoke perfectly fluently and no speech impediment for 40 years in Congress, but now all of a sudden he's got a speech impediment.
Yeah.
Different story for a different day.
He did beat up Corn Pop, though.
I want proof. I want proof. But also the whole piece of it that I really want to center around is that we got to come together in a respectful manner, and that they are driving an agenda that wedges us apart, and everyone keeps falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. In my neighborhood, I bet there's, I don't know, 50% one way, 50% the other.
Yeah.
If something went down in the neighborhood, like, or even today, like someone's little soccer net blew into someone else's yard. They made a post, hey, it's on our front porch, whoever's it is, come grab it.
Yeah.
Not worrying about who's voting which way. Not worried about what color they are. You're just doing a nice neighborly thing.
I don't think we will ever see unity, because unity will shine light on the truth. And once you shine light on the truth, that's why they had to get rid of Donald Trump. Once you learn the truth, you, like, if you had a best friend and someone was like, oh, he's running around here stealing eggs off the farm, you're like, nah, Emmanuel will never do that. You would never think that of me. And then if someone showed you a video, that would blow your mind. You'd be like, oh, I could not believe, I would have never thought that in a million years. So Congress knows if everyone got on the same accord and learned the truth, that's why you have to have different medias brainwashing you and making sure to cuff you to stay on their channel, because the truth will set you free. You know, they're masters at what they do. They know. And the Republicans play the game and the Democrats play the game. I look, you know, like a lot of the men Republicans, they had me fooled. I really thought they cared about this country. They are worse than the Democrats. You know, and it's the ladies, it's the females that's exposing all of them, you know?
And then the Democrats make fun of the females.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's interesting. So I follow this page, Occupied Democrats. It is super liberal. And I always say, so that's the one thing I do, is I always look at both sides. And because what I learned this way back when Scott Walker was first elected, and he ended the you know, he didn't end things, but he like changed the pensions for the teachers.
And the medical field.
Yeah, but so then there was all these protests. I happened to be in Jamaica at the time, and I was sitting there, I was flipping between Fox and CNN, and they're so polar opposite on the reporting of the story.
Yeah.
Because those were the two like U.S. channels mainly they had. And I was like, oh, the truth's in the middle. And we lived downtown at that point, and all those protests were right around our place. So I was trying to keep an eye on things. And I just learned it then. And it was like, they really, really, like the truth is somewhere in the middle almost always.
Yeah.
And instead of, but the media's job is to draw eyeballs to their screen, whether that's the internet, whether that's the TV. That's what you got to realize. It's there to draw eyeballs. And that's why they come out with the sensationalized story at first and then backtrack it later. So what most of you bought into is the reason you hate Trump is because of the Russian collusion thing.
All lies.
It was all lies, and it's been proven to be all lies. What was the one?
Yeah.
What was the one where he was claimed as racist for saying something because they didn't?
Carolina.
Yeah, because they
to protest. Yeah.
because they didn't they took out of context part of
Both
this.
people. It were good people on both sides, and he was saying there were people who just went there to protest, saying, "I think my statue could be put up." And I mean, you could flip that in any scenario, but they knew how to flip it to a negative ranking of them being racist.
So they use that. So like Trump has been known to allow be the first country club or whatever down in that area to allow black people.
Yeah.
Right. Trump won awards in New York City for his diversity efforts, like all before he was president. And as soon as he got into president, because he wasn't one of the good old boys, all of us were made to believe something that it was. And now all this stuff has come out on the Russia thing. Oh, that was actually the Democrat Party.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether you want to say it was Hillary or not, it was definitely the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And it was all made up. But no one cares anymore because your opinion's already made about Trump and he's out of office.
Yeah.
But like that was a big deal.
But
that affected the election.
It did. But you know the beautiful thing about life, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And one thing I know for sure is all the doubters and the naysayers, the cream always rises to the top. And just like in my younger days, me being blinded and not knowing facts over fiction, I got older and I realized what's real is real and what's fake is fake. So all of those people who hated Trump, and you know, you get what you asked for. The guy that was trying to save you the most, the teacher that I hated the most, cared about me the most. And that's exactly, the black community, I warned y'all. I told you every time. I told you at the barbershops, how you like these gas prices? How you like your neighborhoods being flooded with immigrants? And nothing against immigrants. But when you become even smaller minority, you know, you'll figure it out. Because they're people who break the immigration laws, they're not going to Beverly Hills. They're not going to the rich neighborhoods. They have to go somewhere. And one thing about these immigrants, they are way more hungrier than us. They are way more disciplined than us lazy Americans. And they know how to save a dollar. They know how to buy. They know how to keep their dollar in their community. So while they're buying up all of these communities, sending their money back home, our little thing is shrinking and shrinking. And that job you probably was getting $15, $20 for. If I could pay someone $650, I'm gonna pay somebody $650, and that's what we're going through.
Yep.
And you hear it complaining now. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Sometimes you got to burn the building down before you can rebuild.
Yep. And I think our government and some of the elite establishment are trying to burn it down, and that's why they're trying to keep us divided. But not for good purposes.
No, they're not.
They're doing it. They're doing it for their own purposes.
Yeah.
And then they want you to buy into that they're the only ones that can solve it, right? That's what they've been doing to the black community for a long, long time.
Oh yeah.
Is hey, we're going to create the problem, Joe Biden and the Act of 1993 Criminal Act, but I'm the one to fix it.
But they're brilliant the way they do it. I mean, it's just a masterpiece. If anything that the Klan would love, it would be the Democratic Party right now. And I know Democrats out there that listen to this podcast will probably be like, I'll tell you like this. If I wanted the black community to keep killing each other, I'm not going to go for a Republican DA who's going to be hard on gun laws and, really sentence you to
not on gun laws, but on criminal
prosecution.
Yeah.
On prosecution. If I'm the Klan, I'm gonna love that. You know, if I'm the Klan, I don't want a teacher that's teaching kids to read and write. I'm gonna go for all of these Democratic ran areas. I was looking at Baltimore, 23 schools with not one student on a grade reading level.
Hey, side note on that, isn't Baltimore per capita per kid the most money spent in a school district?
Yeah, and none of them can read. And you will never see anybody marching in the streets for that. You know, black on black crime is way out of hand. But no one cares about that because the color's not right. You know, so it's just sad that the people you pay these people at the top. You know, the Democratic Party, we get these guys, you can be the mayor, you can be the governor, I'll pay you at the top.
You can be the prosecutor.
I'll pay all of you athletes and all you spokespeople for the Reverend Al Sharptons and all you ambulance chasers and stuff like that. but no one cares about the kids. And then they'll call me a sellout because I like Trump and I care about the kid. I care about the 94 crime bill, you know. So it's the ones who care the most that get the most backlash.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where you think, or I see, that's where I was going to on that Occupy Democrats page. Man, I've seen them going after Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Or
I love them too.
Right? So they're loud and they're opposing the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
And man, the Democrats go after them.
The Republicans hate
And the
them too.
Republicans hate them too.
Yeah, because the Carrie Lakes of the world, it's the women that are standing up.
Right. And everyone's
Republican. Yeah.
So if you guys don't follow them, like, watch who they really go after. Like they went after Trump.
Yeah.
Watch who they really go after.
Matt Gates. Yeah.
That's who probably has our back the most.
Exactly. I couldn't have said that better.
Right. So like,
Perfect.
not even probably, they do have our back the most. The problem is that like we've become so brainwashed and just quick hitting on these media headlines and whatnot that we don't even realize that we're being manipulated into thinking that they're the bad ones because they're so brilliant at how they attack us with propaganda and tell us that these people are bad, when in actuality, they're the ones fighting tooth and nail to keep this country alive.
That's so perfectly said. That's so perfectly said. And a lot of people who don't understand what Josh is saying is, just think about this. If you see a bunch of cops, and I have no problem with the cops, but the ones that are most hated are internal affairs. The guys that investigate the guys doing wrong.
That used to be on movies and shows all the
They
time.
hate the internal affairs of cops. The ones that are really sticking up for you, those cops are hated the most. They look at them like, oh, you traitor, and you're telling our secrets. And that's how they're looking at these ladies, you know. A lot of Republicans, Mitch McConnell didn't give these guys money for their re-campaigning and all of that other stuff. They really feared Carrie Lake. And this new wave of ladies, man, I just take my hat off. I salute you guys. Keep up the good work. But yeah.
Agreed. And the cartoons and stuff that they're making of them, man, if the shoe was on the other foot, people would go mad. And so that's where we're going to wrap this topic up with. You have to get mad even if it goes against your political view. Because like Emmanuel said, wrong is wrong. So if they're making fun of these women for their appearances, which they are, because I've seen it.
They're hot too.
What's that?
They're cute too.
Well, that could be part of it, jealousy. But like, no, they're going after them because they're not establishment.
They're not at all.
And so, but they're going after them on looks. They're going after them on because they're loud. They're using all the dirty tricks that they say is, say toxic masculinity or some other bullshit that they throw out there. And they're doing so like you women out there, you have to fight for them, even if they're not even if you don't agree with their political view, because what they're doing, if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd be mad as hell.
Yeah. And a lot of people can't understand. See, what you said was so perfect. Like, if you notice, Josh is saying even the Republicans are trying to suppress these women. A Democrat would never say anything bad about the establishment Democrat. You ask the Democrats, tell me something bad about any Democrat. They have nothing to say. To them, all Democrats are perfect. But we're man enough to say there's some rotten-ass Republicans in office. Establishment.
Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell.
Oh, just horrible. But you ask a Democrat, who's a horrible Democrat? They won't say. No, the Democrats are perfect to Democrats. None of them can do wrong. None of them.
No, that's a problem. Because again, you don't agree with everything anyone does.
Yeah.
You can't keep playing the same team thing and think it's all kosher. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about this balloon
Balloon
animal.
What is up with that?
What do you got on that? Because it was an interesting headline. Was it a distraction? Was it real? Was it from China?
From what I've heard, some people told me these balloons were flying across the United States, looking for really good-looking guys. Josh, you don't have nothing to worry about. So
I aged out of it.
Yeah, so they were looking for good-looking guys. So and I called Josh up. I'm like, Josh, these balloons are flying across America, and they're looking for really good-looking guys. And I told him him and his brother don't have much to worry about. But I called him about 3 hours later to let him know it's really nice in that balloon. Stuff in there. So I'll keep you guys updated. No, it's all jokes aside. I don't know, man. These balloons, I really want to know what's going on. I have no clue. I have no clue.
And that's the problem with the leadership in Washington right now, or leadership in the media or anywhere else that should be telling us the truth, is we can't, A, trust them,
Yeah.
and B, they say so little, they give us just enough
Yeah.
to make our own assumptions, and we really have no clue what's going on. Like, we've shot down since Balloon Gate, since the big balloon animal that flew over our entire country before we shoot it down over the ocean, where it makes it very difficult to retrieve.
Right.
Again, fishy. No pun intended. Then there's 3 more objects that get flown down, and we're, at first we're told maybe alien objects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we're told maybe it's part of Chinese, maybe they're part of the Chinese balloon brigade.
Yeah.
Like they give us just enough. And like here's the interesting piece I say. And like it was a year or 2 ago that Area 51 confirmed, or the Pentagon confirmed, like they did have aliens and UFOs.
Yeah.
And like no one was even shook, even for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Independence Day came out?
Yeah.
Like everyone was shook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and even like we're thinking, man, an alien invasion would be crazy. Like we'd all die.
This is the thing that bothers me. I'm like, with the modern technology and stuff, we have planes that can go up and fuel another plane.
I was on it. I've been on one.
Oh, okay.
I've literally been on a refueling plane.
Yeah.
Watching a fighter jet get refueled midair.
I'm thinking, there's got to be some way they can go up there, put it like you have stuff that drop down from orbit that can land and with a parachute, I'm wondering why you can't like attach a parachute on the balloon, pop the balloon, let the parachute come down so it can have a softer landing. That way you can retrieve everything.
Well, they could.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We know they could. Now,
They're classifying everything, all these papers, and we're going to classify them so the public will never know, so.
And so we're left to believe. So that's what leads me to believe it was a huge distraction.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want all of you to figure out as well. Anytime there's something like hot pressing in the media, that's on every media cycle, that's front page of every paper, front page of every website that you go to, look further.
That's it. Look over here. Don't look over here.
That's exactly what they're doing. So like what gets passed that week, or what's on the docket that week to get passed in Congress? What are they trying to hide? Like the Pentagon losing another $1 trillion or something like that?
They can't even track their own money.
I know. That's what I'm saying, though. There's always a major news story,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll inflate a news story like a shooting or something else
Mm-hmm.
to cover up their own misdealings.
Man, that would have been great to work for homework back when I was in school. If I could pull the fire alarm and not have my papers checked, that would be great.
My dog ate it.
Yeah, my dog ate it. Another thing is, I really feel, now this could just be how I feel, but as soon as the heat was getting on Biden about his classified documents, already Mike Pence don't like Trump, right? He's a team player. He's a CIA and FBI guy, team player. Soon as that heat was coming on, all eyes was on Joe Biden. All of a sudden, I feel they went to Mike Pence and said, take one for the team. He was just doing interviews. I don't own any classified documents. Why all at that time? Why right around that time you start finding, to say, well, it lessens the blow for Joe Biden, So I feel like he volunteered to take one for the team. It's not going to really hurt him. He's not going to be prosecuted, but your common enemy is Donald Trump. So he's like, I'll take one for the team. There's no way on earth I'm going to be a vice president and stab my president in the back, no matter what. It's a loyalty thing. Pence, he stabbed Trump in the back right away. So I really feel he did. He took one for the team. And I hope he runs for president, because he wouldn't get my vote.
Well, he won't. I don't think he will.
Yeah.
You ever listen to him speak? It's boring. Like
It's dry.
It's dry.
Desert.
So it's interesting. And not to say that that's the only thing that matters, because Obama was a great orator,
Yeah.
like great speaker, but his policies didn't land. They didn't.
The thing with all of these guys, the reason I fell in love with Trump, he's not a team player. Pence is a team player. Obama's a team player. Mitt Romney, all of these guys are team players. That's why they these women. All the president, every president we've ever had was a team player.
Not JFK. That's why they killed him.
Yeah. But to see JFK, he played himself by being messing with Marilyn Monroe. He allowed himself to get blackmailed, and a lot of people don't understand. Bobby and JFK could not stand LBJ, who's a horrible person. You know, only this is the way to become a good person when you're a riding racist. Pass a goofy civil rights law that really, and everything's erased. You know, just like Biden, he can erase his whole career just by saying, I'm fighting for voter rights, and that's it. He's a good guy now. And if you hate Trump, look at George Bush. He was despised by the left. You don't agree with Trump, you're loved. Look at the Lincoln, what is the Lincoln Project? You know, all you have to do is hate Trump. You could be Jeffrey Dahmer if he was living. He could have wrote a manifest and said, I did it for Trump and I hate him now. They probably would let him out, you know? So, yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that one, but I get your point.
I know I went a little extreme with that one, but you never know with the Democrats now.
That's right.
He'd be on The View next week.
Whoopi would love him. Oh, and speaking of The View, don't listen to a damn thing they say.
Yeah.
They are paid and bought for as well. They trumpet whatever major media wants them to say. So, again, look further. Look at your neighbors. Look into love and acceptance of each other. We're all in this human existence together. Stop letting them divide us based on skin color, religion, all this different jazz. As Emmanuel said, any of my friends that are a different skin color, different religion that I ever talk to, I'll ask that question. Is this the most racist time we ever live in?
No.
No? Is this the most ist of whatever ist time we're living?
No, I think opportunities out here for everyone. It's just about grabbing the bull by his horn and riding him to the top. But at the end of the day, man, when you start letting falsehoods trump, no pun intended, facts should overrule everything. And, you know, really look in the mirror and ask yourself, if you had two people that one of them you hated and the other one you loved, and they had committed the same crime, ask yourself, are you man enough or woman enough to say, let the chips fall and let the law overcome my biasness? And a lot of people can't do it. I love Trump, but if taking documents is a crime, you committed a crime, buddy. And that goes for Joe Biden. What's the first thing Democrats did? And Republicans do the same thing. But, you know, although there are some differences, Trump can declassify documents. And
Biden can't.
Yeah. I want to see, just put it all on the table. You know, they want to keep it all hidden to keep this narrative going. Who did what? Who took what? And let's see if Biden hides stuff because of China blackmailing him. Let's see what Trump took. Trump may have took a napkin with Kim Jong-il writing thank you on it. You know, put it out there so I can judge it. But at the end of the day, if that disqualifies Pence, Trump, and Biden, the law is the law. But they make these laws with wiggle room, you know?
For them, not for us.
Exactly.
For them. And that's the biggest thing is we need term limits. We need accountability.
Yeah.
And the problem is that they write the laws.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we got to get people in there that are not thinking that they're above the law, that they're fighting for us, the people.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You mentioned facts. I got to imagine a lot of people that listen to this that have some questions themselves. They don't know where to go to get the facts.
Yeah, that's hard to find the facts. Because political and all of these fact checkers, they have a bias.
They have a slant.
They have a big slant. And that's like you just said, that's really good to bring up. How can you learn the truth when the facts are buried? That's so tough.
Well, and they're not buried all permanently, typically. They're not buried. I mean, they're certainly buried from the major headlines. But I think what you got to do is form a discerning behavior and attitude. Like, for instance, we talked about, like, hey, if we know that the political establishment has lied to us over and over and over again, and then they do certain things to either people like Trump or these new women in Congress and Senate, like Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and what was the other couple you brought up?
Blackburn. Yeah.
If they're hating on them, well, Carrie Lake didn't get in, but they really hated her.
Oh, God.
And the reason they hate them is because they're not them. And they're going to fight for us, and they're telling us the truth. So Or for instance, like if they're all going one way on whether it's the COVID stuff, whether it's the Trump, the Russian disinformation, or whatever all that different stuff was, the Trump collusion stuff, like it came out later. The problem is that like the establishment, the media, and Hollywood all team up. So basically, my discernment typically is, first of all, don't jump on the first information that comes out. Don't form an opinion based on that. And second thing I go to is if the media, Hollywood, and establishment politicians are all saying the same thing, I'm going to have a lot of apprehension about believing that narrative.
Yeah.
Automatically. And that's why I think most people, and again, I don't care if it's my team or not, and I'm libertarian, so I have a very small team. You lean more on the right side of me, but like you've said, we don't care if it's the right side or not, our side or their side or whatever. It's if the establishment, the media, and Hollywood are all saying one thing, I'm going to be more prone to look under the covers and think the other way.
Yeah, I just want to lean on the right side of truth, and it's just tough because it's so many layers to that rotten onion to get to the truth, you know.
And they make it hard, but it's not impossible.
Well, it's kind of
listen to Rogan, listen to Andy Frisella, listen to us.
Even they can be swayed. Like I'm a straight shooter. Even Rogan and all of these guys, when you get people, at the end of the day, there's only one truth. They'll say all this and all that, and they'll bash this and bash that.
Well, they're humans. They have opinions. They're allowed to do that.
Okay, there's a difference between an opinion and a fact. At the end of the day, through that opinion, there's a fact. And when you start letting your opinion outweigh a fact, it's tough. Like, I looked at when Trump was going through all that Russiagate stuff. Your side is supposed to teach you and give you the facts. You had Trey Gowdy. You had all of these Republicans going into these closed meetings, knowing the truth, but they will come back out on TV, and it's supposed to be Trump's, basically his lawyers, right? They come out and they let the Democrats say whatever, and they say, well, we're going to... If someone told me you ran over a unicorn, I know that is a solid lie. We can't go in a room and investigate you running over a unicorn. If I know it's fake, I'm coming out on TV and like, it's absolutely fake. And Trey Gowdy played this thing up. I hate him so bad for playing this thing up, knowing he wanted to get rid of Trump.
Yeah.
Imagine having a boss that cut back on you getting 5 cigarette breaks a day, and he said, that's going to be over. You're not going to like that boss, when they start messing with your money and all of these military lobbyists giving you campaign money and stuff, and Trump is like, I'm going to expose all that. I'm going to expose the medical field and big pharma, and these are your buddies. You're going to act like, well, I'm a Republican. I got to act like I like this guy, but really, I can't wait to get rid of him.
Yeah.
80% of the Republicans.
Because that's from my bankroll.
Get rid of.
That's my bankroll.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing I'll say is there's a dichotomy in really everything, okay? And especially in leadership. But the dichotomy I want you to think, you can hold two truths at the same time, okay? So for instance, Ukraine. We can empathize and know that the Ukrainian people don't deserve to be in that war.
Right.
That is 100% truthful, factual. I almost let it, but we're
facts behind what led up to that.
Correct. Not just led up to it, but like that there's way more motive behind it. And it's again politicians posturing, stealing money, and putting those people unjustly into a war.
Yeah.
And in jeopardy. Yeah. So like that's the thing is like you can at the same time, this is crazy talk, I know, be pro-Ukrainian people and against the war and the shit that it stands for. It's not just Putin. It's Zelensky. It's our politicians.
Yeah.
For instance, do you know that as much money, $100 billion, has been spent in Ukraine in 1 year, and we don't have any troops on the ground, as the first 5 years in Afghanistan where we had troops on the ground?
Yeah.
Did you know that Ukrainian parliament people have already been caught stealing and laundering money? That's not right. That's not helping the Ukrainian people. So you can hold two truths at the same time. You don't have to be pro one thing and it means you automatically are against another. I am 100% against this stupid war and us funding it. And at the same time, empathize and care for the Ukrainian people.
For the people. But at the end of the day, when you get the blueprint and when you know exactly what's going on, it probably will give you a different view. Like, a lot of people can't understand the guy that they're lifting on this pedestal and making him a hero is like a Idi Amin. He's one of the worst people in the world to lead his people into a burning building by being a puppet of the United States.
He's a puppet. That's the thing. He's not a hero. He's a puppet.
He's a puppet. But I mean, as a man, I could never have my family be slaughtered. I'd rather die on the sword than that. He knows this isn't a winning situation.
Well, his family's not going to get slaughtered.
He let America talk him into it. And a lot of people, that's like being for the Iraqi war. I was against that right away. And this is the same thing, you know. George Bush was totally wrong for that war. America is totally wrong for pushing the war. But they'll make Putin the villain when Putin is just saying, hey, you can't just come forcing yourself on my borders and NATO and all of this other stuff. In America, it's so much behind this war. It's got to deal with oil. It's got to deal with trying to
natural gas.
Yeah.
And it just came out as well that we were running military exercises in the Baltic Sea, showing that we could blow up
the pipeline.
The pipeline.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the pipeline's blown up.
But
like America has way more, American politicians have way more to do with this war than, or maybe not way more, but as much to do with this war than Putin does. But yeah, they're getting us, all the people, riled up against Putin.
Because
why?
Because we don't read, we don't know what's on the back pages or in the index of a book. But at the end of the day, the biggest winner are the military-industrial complex, and you have to break things down.
And politicians that get money on the back end because of that.
It's almost like we know street violence is bad, right? And it's almost like the FBI, the DEA, and the government saying, let's leave these bad players in place because these gun runners need to sell their guns. And they just let it ride on out. And the gun runners are just making all this money.
Hey, did you also know that we funded and supplied weapons to Al-Qaeda to fight Russia and Afghanistan?
Yep. And Syria.
Did y'all remember that?
And Syria, too.
Y'all remember that? So we're now funding Ukraine.
Our biggest enemies
to fight Russia. Like, it's the same play.
Israel.
Now, we may be more sympathetic to the Ukrainian people than we were to Al-Qaeda, especially because of what Al-Qaeda did to us after.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, guys.
The brainwashing is deep. Look at the Black Caucus wearing little pins of Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the racist countries in the world when it comes to black people. African immigrants couldn't even get on trains in Ukraine where animals could get on and the African immigrants couldn't get on. But get a Black Caucus a couple of dollars. We support that. That's almost like a support. And a lot of people don't know. A lot of apartheid was going. The Russian-speaking people, they were being brutalized over there. So it's just layers to this, man. You got to read. You got to know what's going on before you pass judgment. And I've been awakened to that a long time ago. Jumping ahead of the train cart, you know. Hey, you got to read and don't judge a book by its cover. You got to know the facts.
Especially the initial reports by our mainstream media. You got to dig below the facts.
This is probably going through one ear and out the other with people who support this war. They're like, these guys.
Well, all I'm saying is you can hold two truths. It's a dichotomy. It's a paradox.
I see exactly what you're saying. I do feel for the people who are being slaughtered because of the arrogance of Lazinski, whatever his name is, who knows. He's sending his people out there to just die.
And he goes on TV and acts like he cares. He doesn't care.
And asks for more money.
And asks for more money.
Yeah. And
then we have him into D.C. and parade him around like he's some sort of hero. He's not.
We do the same thing over here, though.
But we do it with everyone. And that's the thing. Is
Vietnam War. You're sending these kids out here, Iraq War. You're sending these kids out here for your personal oil battles and stuff like that. You don't care about...
For Afghanistan was toppy.
You don't care about the guy that's working down at Oscar Mayer. His kids going to war. Your kids aren't going to go to war, you know?
Yeah. So, all right. So bottom line is, with all this, there's still a clear lack of leadership in D.C. that E and I have some problems with. But we as a people can hold two truths.
Facts.
We can actually respect and love each other. And when we get away from identity politics and realize that we're all suffering and living through this human condition and living in enjoyment in this human condition at times, we're a lot more alike than we are apart.
I tell all my liberal friends, man, talk to me. Let me get an understanding of what you like and why you like it. I'll respect that. But give me that same respect. You know, at the end of the day, we all have difference of opinions. You may like a policy. You may like Greenpeace. You may want to keep the ocean. I'm not going to say you're weird for that. I'm going to be like, oh, you like that? You know, you might want open borders or something like that. Tell me why. I'm not going to hate you because of your views. But on the other side, when I don't agree with what you, I'm not anyone's puppet. I am nobody's modern slave. I have a free frame of thought. I'm mentally free. I can think of and like whatever I want to like. And all I can tell you is why I like it. But don't disown me because I don't like what you like. You know, you may like the Packers. I may like the Cowboys. Don't hate me because I have a difference of opinion. And that's what the both parties need to learn that more. Just because someone thinks different than you, they have a reason why they like whatever they like. And if you're wrong, I can tell you, I feel you're wrong. But in your heart, you may feel like you're right. But I'm not going to cancel you out because you have a difference of an opinion.
And when you peel the onion back enough, you realize that we all really want the same thing. We just got different ways of getting there.
Peel it back enough, you'll shed tears.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. And that's where these episodes came about, is at the cigar bar, getting into deep conversations over some nice sticks that we end up still coming out friends with, from people all different socioeconomic classes, all different races, all different religions. And that's how these conversations were sparked and where this idea, these episodes came from behind.
I think we became closer by having discussions and conversations.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
If you're actually open to and respecting people instead of just closing them off and shutting them out, then you become much closer. You understand where people come from. So you understand why they have the views they have and why they feel the way that they feel.
Yeah.
And then you have just a healthier respect for the human sitting across from you.
And you can learn so much from diversity. I learned about little goats today. Hanging out with this. I mean, how many
and how my legs, the chickens are pooping out in the winter versus the summer and whatever else. So yeah.
Life is good, man. Live life, man. Enjoy life. Stop the hate and celebrate.
Stop the hate. Stop letting the media divide us. We're a lot more alike than we are different. So with that being said, Spartans, as always, remember, good and great are the enemies of possible. Lead like a Spartan today.